It's the Forces Breakfast with Chris Kay at BFBS, and I'm here with author Chris Clark, who has written a book all about his dad, Flight Lieutenant Thomas Clark. So let's pick up the story then, and your father arrives in Norfolk.
Yes, he joined 279 Squadron, which was a brand new formed squadron, Air Sea Rescue, and he was the dorsal gunner for the aircraft.
What happened after that?
In 1942, he actually met my mother, who was a local woman from a nearby village. At the end of the year, Dad was promoted to a gunnery leader, and he went to Egypt, where he trained air gunners for the Desert Air Force against Rommel, who were fighting the 8th Army in North Africa. After a year as an instructor, he then joined himself a Baltimore squadron in northern Italy, and their job was night operation, strafing German communication and transport lines. 3 weeks after D-Day, they were on such a mission when ack fire caught the aircraft, and the crew of 4 had to bail out because the aircraft was on fire. They were about 100 miles behind German lines, the Gothic line, and Dad landed in a maize field and wrapped himself up in his parachute for the night.
So what happened?
The following morning, a local Italian peasant who was tending goats nearby found him, and they quickly realised that they were friends, and because Italy had surrendered by this time, and they were then an ally, whereas before they were part of the Axis. But they swapped cigarettes basically, and Dad was taken to a safe house where he found another of his crew members who had a dislocated shoulder, and for the next 7 weeks the Italian people held them in various safe houses in the town of Florence until the Allied army repatriated Florence and they returned to their unit.
So your dad also ended up transporting royalty during the course of his career?
Yes, he had 2 stints on what was originally the King's Flight, which after the death of King George VI became the Queen's Flight. And he flew the late King, the late Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and the 2 princesses, together with Prince Philip, backwards and forwards on various excursions, including trips to Malta.
A very varied career, because he also spied on the Russians.
Yes, in 1958, by this time, Dad was an air electronics officer, and he was the front-end signaller on board the Comet aircraft, which was in tandem with the Canberra aircraft, which went poaching along the Warsaw Pact, where the Canberra would deliberately fly upwards, attracting the attention of the SAM missiles and Russian radar installations. The crew in the back of the Comet would then take the coordinates, and they also fluent in Russian, and the information, the intelligence, was brought back to GCHQ and fed into the system, which was then taken over by the secret CIA U-2 spy aircraft.
Well, it sounds like a fascinating story, and I think we've only probably scratched the surface of the book and all the fascinating tales from your father's life. Chris Clark, author of From Hitler's U-Boats to Khrushchev's Spy Flights. Thank you very much for coming in. The book's available now, and it's been a pleasure speaking to you.